and welcome to another episode of Habits for Health. Today, we will dive into a recent review on exercise, where there have been some quite interesting conclusions that people don't really talk much about, where it could be a whole paradigm shift for the exercise movement. So, we want to dive into this and we want to discuss our thoughts on it, whether it's relevant and whether we should actually change some of our habits based on it. You want to go first with some thoughts, Wouter?
Yeah, sure. So I read this systemic review, and what surprised me is that only PubMed was used as a source to find the research. Um, and I looked at some of the meta-analysis that the writer, the author, used to come to his conclusions, and the the studies weren't really that great. One of these meta-analyses mentioned the fact that the research that they gathered is prone to bias. And as for the one on strength training, um, it was a meta-analysis as well. It seemed pretty good, but they're all correlations. So it's difficult to say if overtraining really, yeah, obviously overtraining, it has the word over in it, leads to a bad response in your body and can be stressful. Um, but there might be other reasons why these relationships were found. Um, Now, however, I did look at other sources, like I had a look at Google Scholar, and I had a look to see if there were different meta-analyses that investigated the same thing, and they actually showed similar effects in on some occasions, not on all occasions. So um, the 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 data that he shared, it it may be true for us, it may not be true for us, and there were some other flaws in the research as well. But maybe I should first explain what they found in this research before I get further into it.
Sure.
So they've at least the data that was shown in that data, they found that if you do vigorous exercise like endurance training, or you do strength training for up to 150 minutes a week, then only these first 60 minutes lead to a reduction in cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. And if you go beyond those 60 minutes, it goes back to baseline at 150 minutes. And anything beyond that has a detrimental effect on cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. And they found that endurance exercise is different. I mean, not endurance exercise, but low intensity exercise. So things like gardening or taking a walk or casual cycling, these have a positive effect on all-cause mortality, and they lead to a reduction in cardiovascular disease um, pretty much indefinitely. So the more of these lighter activities you do, the better for cardiovascular health.
I just want to mention that it was actually moderate, not low intensity. They mentioned. So that's
Moderate.
also why it's like cycling, like because you can't really do low intensity cycling, I guess. Um,
Yeah, no, no,
yeah,
true.
yeah,
Yeah, there were some activities that were listed in the study, and they were activities like gardening, walking, cycling. Obviously, not endurance cycling for endurance training, but casual cycling.
yes, and
But
it's
also cleaning the house, things like that too.
I hate that. Yeah, I try to keep things clean, so I never really have to clean. It's kind of a good hack to
Yeah,
avoid
it is. It is.
that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I was actually really surprised with that finding of like the moderate exercise that there's since there's been no like not really any limit. Like they went until 900 minutes, and then
Hmm.
they said they could even go beyond that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a lot when you think about it. Like even if you do like an hour per day, you only you only get to what 400 minutes or so per week, which is not even half of that. So basically, have to do like You have to do like 2 hours per day or something of moderate exercise to even reach the 90 minutes or 900 minutes per week, which is a lot. And I think it's pretty cool they can do that much and still get benefits.
Yeah.
And also gets like I also like that they talked about why this could make sense in terms of how our ancestors tend to live, in terms of how the hunter gatherers were. That they usually had very like short bursts of sprints or like higher intensity, and then they went down to otherwise like do moderate or lower intensity movements, basically following that. And that makes a lot of sense because if we did that over thousands among thousands of years, it makes sense that it's still in our evolution to not be used to doing these huge amounts of vigorous exercise. So I
Yeah.
am I'm sure that like things like say doing a marathon or something is definitely not good for us. It's too much for sure. But to find a limit of how much, as you also mentioned, based on the study and based on like the different other reviews as well, um,
Hmm.
it might be hard to come to a conclusion of like what exact number is that. But I
Yeah.
still I still think that there's probably something to it that we probably some people actually tend to do more than they actually should. And even people that might exercise an hour every day, most days of the week, a vigorous exercise, say going to the gym or something, might actually be too much. So, like, I don't know if it's 60 minutes as the limit, no one really knows, or what limit is, but it, I think it just highlights a thing that it's probably better to do like more shorter sessions than like really long ones, and you probably get more
Uh,
benefits to that.
yeah. Yeah. So as you mentioned, I agree that if you look at the evolution of humans, then it makes complete sense that more low intensity exercise has a positive effect, and that vigorous short bursts of exercise are more beneficial than overdoing it. Um, what what I found a bit difficult was that strength training was not resistance training wasn't really defined in these studies. So all of this is just self-reports. So it's really difficult to pinpoint it and say like, okay, you spend this much time actually pushing weights, because people take a lot of they take like a few minutes to recover in between sets and such. So it's really difficult to say how much exercise those 150 minutes actually are.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the whole thing with like studies that are just based on observational research. They're really hard to come to base conclusions on. Um, of course, it can give us some hints, but there are also
Yeah.
cases where it's almost the opposite conclusion that you actually get to when you actually do a real high quality study. So that's also why it can be dangerous to actually make conclusions based on it. That's why we should probably try to look at other factors that might either make this result more prominent or less prominent,
Mm.
because then we can kind of get better clues in terms of whether it makes sense or not. For instance, as talking about our evolutionary history, which could definitely pinpoint that we definitely have a limit. The question is what the limit is, but that we have to think about this and we shouldn't just keep on doing it forever and never taking breaks. Otherwise, our bodies will definitely deteriorate. And you also see this from people that exercise their whole lives, um, a lot, weeks and years on end. For instance, professional athletes or bodybuilders or something, a lot of these people they actually tend to have like issues later down the line in terms of different diseases that actually come up, and it makes sense
Mhm.
that they have just caused so much inflammation and so much over exercise over so many years that their body just can't recover from that. It's gonna be like stuck in their body for their whole lives. They're gonna have
Yeah.
different deteriorations that come from that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Could still be
we.
other factors like drugs that they use or other things. But anyway, I do believe that there is such an effect that doing too much, and that there is indeed a correlation in people doing more vigorous exercise and how that has a detrimental effect to their health later in their life.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, like so one thing you also see is um even for people that don't like do a lot of drugs or whatever when they are athletes or something, you also see that following even 5, 10 years or something, even just this like a shorter period of their life is focused on really intense exercise repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. That
Hmm.
even those individuals, you actually see oftentimes that they have this downstream increase in inflammation in their body that just doesn't really go away like decades after this, which means that like different diseases can easily come up for them because the body is normally or automatically just in a more stressful state and just have a harder time coping with diseases because it's already coping with all this huge burden that was put on them for so long. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to like do really intense exercise for a long time with no breaks. I think it's really important to get a proper balance of this. I don't know if we can come to any recommendations or conclusions based on this. What do you think?
Well, no, we can't. I think it's unfair to draw any real conclusions from this research unless there will be clinical trials that investigate this issue in a more controlled environment and that have a better definition of what endurance exercise or resistance exercise is, and then try it out with a control group, obviously, um, with different intervals, like a group doing no exercise, doing 60 minutes, doing 2 hours, and so forth. But what have you done with the results of this study yourself? Did
I
you
was
make
about
any
to,
change?
I was about to ask you the same thing if you had made any changes based on it. And so I have actually chosen to dial down my exercise a bit. So I have I've started focusing to have or more on moderate exercise as kind of a bigger focus than before in terms of compared to higher intensity.
Hmm.
So I was actually trying to like go to the gym, working out my muscles every single day, and just kind of like listen to my body, how I was feeling, like which muscles could be targeted more or less, but just trying to do as much as possible, basically, of the body every single time, every single day. And like based on this, and even just like thinking back, um, I had some injuries that came from that. So I think I realized that it makes sense that there could be a limit from that. Even if I was trying to list my body still was kind of like later on just showing that it couldn't handle it. Um, so right now I'm trying to do like so strength exercise about 3 to 4 times per week, and then I'm trying to do more shorter bursts of high intensity cardio exercise the other days of the week. So I'm still trying to work out every single day, but in shorter amounts and having a balance between cardio and resistance. Because I feel like also from the conclusions from this study and other studies, it also seems like um, there's also a difference between working out, so resistance exercise only, and also doing cardio and resistance exercise. The body can easily recover from doing both than only doing one of them. So I think it can also help to recovery for changing it up. So I kind of taking a break every single day, like doing 1 day resistance, 1 day of cardio, and kind of shifting every day based on that, and then doing these kind of shorter amounts. And so I really love walking. So I was like always trying to walk from place to place when I had time and I could like do something on the way, like checking tasks or messages or whatever that I otherwise wouldn't really do when I was stuck in a place. And if it wasn't too long, like maybe I would usually do it unless it was like more than an hour or something. I would actually walk all the way to the place I was going. Um, so I'm like now I have I feel like a better reason to do that. Like before, I still liked it and I still felt it was good. But seeing this conclusion on the moderate exercise not really having a limit, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think that it gives a better reason to actually do more of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is actually a conclusion that can come from that because when you think about the whole evolutionary history, it definitely could make sense that you could just keep on doing it. The body could easily recover because you don't really stress the body that much from it at all. It's really low amounts like of stress that you get from that. So recovering from that, I think, would be pretty easy for the body. Maybe unless you did all of it combined every day, like say doing 2 hours at a time, like every day. If you spread it out during the day of like shorter amounts, maybe like say 2, 3, 4 times during the day of doing these shorter
Yeah.
amounts, I think the body can easily recover from that. It also seems like that gives you more benefit of again spreading it out shorter bursts than doing like it all together. Even the thing about sitting down for long periods of time is really bad for you. So if you also spread out the exercise, you actually also sit down less amount of time in a row, and then you get the benefit of both the exercise as well as the kind of shifting of sitting down and moving. Also
Yeah.
because like you see this of when you sit down for more than an hour or even a bit less than an hour, you see a rise in insulin, you see glucose increase. You see a lot of different effects that come from the body that it basically like even like your metabolism slows down a lot as well. It kind of almost goes like all the way down to like baseline when you sit down for long periods of time. So that's even a better reason to also have these like spread out during the day to keep on having a higher metabolic rates, keeping your insulin levels lower, and even just like the mental aspect you get from like exercising as well. You feel more energetic. You feel you can focus better after. So that's what I'm trying to do based on it. What about you?
Good. So yeah, I'm also trying to go for a walk or take my bicycle whenever I want to do something that is within acceptable range. And when I get back to the Netherlands, I'll walk my dog as much as I can. And I had actually already been dialing down on my workouts. I was working out 6 times a week a few years ago. Then I went up to 5, then 4, and now I'm training basically 3.5 times a week. I'm taking one day on and one day off, and I may add another recovery day to that after my leg workout. And it feels good doing that. I think it has a positive effect on my sleep too. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna see what feels right, and also sometimes I would push myself when going to the gym. I'd feel my body and be like, okay, there's a little bit of soreness. It's almost gone. Fuck it, let's just go to the gym.
Mm.
But I will no longer do that. I'll just take another other day off. I'm not in a rush to pack on a lot of muscle. I feel pretty fit and healthy as I am. You know, if I don't, if I'm not at peak performance year round, then that's totally fine.
Okay, that's cool. And yeah, like you also feel if your part of your body is less recovered, you also feel like you have to like kind of force it to still do it. And when you do that afterwards, I feel like that's the times where you normally like get injured. There's times where you normally like get sick after or something. So your body is
Yeah,
trying to tell you, slow the fuck down, take a
yeah,
break.
yeah,
Don't do this. But you still do
yeah,
it. It's your intuition. It's like your body knows what it has to do. So listen to that
yeah,
instead of just saying like fuck it, I got to do it anyway. It's not. It's
yeah.
not.
So yeah, so instead of going to the gym, I'll do yoga or go to the park with my dog, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, and so what if like parts of your body is fit and recovered, and then others are not? Like, would you still skip it, or would you? It would be if your whole body
Um,
is like just saying no, that you would not do it.
well, uh, I find that training my biceps and my triceps is not so taxing on the body. Same for my abs, depending on the exercise that I'm doing. So if I really feel like going to the gym, then I may go to the gym and do more low intensity cardio and just train my biceps, for example. That is if I really want to go to the gym.
Okay. And so you mentioned before that you did the resistance exercise about 3 times per week, and then like just doing casual walks and stuff like that. So you don't do any like higher intensity cardio or something?
Um, I do my cooling down, the cardio of that. I do that at a pretty high intensity,
Okay.
but that's just like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I think that should have a good effect on my VO2 max, as well as just lifting heavy weights and yeah, getting a sweat on, doing resistance exercises. Um, I think doing things like a leg press, a squat, a deadlift are also great for your VO2 max if you do them at a high intensity, of course.
Yeah, I think it's important to also try to push yourself cardio wise. So if you do those 5 minutes, like say every time you go to the gym and you do it full force, it might be good. Yeah, for me, I try to do as mentioned like a few times per week where I try to go pretty high intensity, just like shorter amounts for cardio as well. And I think it really helps to build part of that up. And also like when you look at the different studies and different exercises, you also see different benefits from say cardio, resistance exercise, moderate exercise, all of it, and you combine it all together, get a much better reduction in all cause mortality than doing each
Yeah,
separately. So I think it's really good to cover all the bases and like doing parts of everything instead of like only doing one, or yeah, primarily only doing one of them.
yeah, totally agree. We can see that there are different factors that have a positive uh, effect on longevity, and some of them come from vigorous endurance training, like increasing your VO2 max. Others come from resistance training, like better bone density, more grip strength, more leg strength. And then other cardiovascular benefits come from the lighter activities like gardening and such.
Yes,
So the benefit to each of these.
indeed, indeed, and also in terms of mental wise, it seems like cardio is the most beneficial there. So and also like I
Yeah.
feel also after that, that's why you feel mostly you're feeling a boost in energy and focus when you do cardio. If you do resistance exercise, you don't really feel it after. After you might feel more low energy, and then you have to kind of like recover after that. Whereas if you do cardio, you usually kind of feel a boost after that, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, if you get blood flowing in your body, then blood will also increase flowing in your brain, obviously, which is good for mental health.
Indeed, yes. They also mentioned the study about like the kind of value of being outside as well on like mental health and overall that people that are more outside they tend to be healthier than the people that are inside. um I don't know if you thought about any of that in terms of the study or anything else. Have any thoughts on that aspect?
Well, it makes total sense. If you're outside, you get more stimuli than when you're inside, and people who stay inside more are probably more likely to spend time on their screens, which is all bad for mental health and also for other things like your circadian rhythm, which in turn will have a negative effect on mental health if you're spending a lot of time on your phone or watching your TV or your laptop, whatever. Um, on the other hand, if you go outside, you get more natural lighting. Yeah, you might interact with other people. So yeah, there are many benefits to spending more time outside.
What do you think of the um biggest reasons for going outside? What do you think helps the most when you go outside?
Oh, I think maybe sunlight and then exercise and then social interaction.
Yeah, sounds good. I think also nature helps a lot too. You also see trees. They also like send out these essential oils that kind of calm the body as well. You have, for instance, see in like Japan, you see like forest bathing, which is quite common as a practice. To basically calm down and relax and recover. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's good. Like yeah, exercise, social interactions, nature, exercise. Yeah, like those. Yeah, and of course, yeah, sunlight too. Yeah, I think it's a good one because of course you get the vitamin D, which is common, but you also get energized by the sun. The sun is basically like kind of like energizing your whole body, lighting your whole body up, basically. The different light spectrums, like also basically energizing your mitochondria, your energy production in the body. So I think those are probably some good ones to shoot for, and
Yeah.
probably and
Yeah.
even also air quality is also like better outside than inside as well.
Oh, maybe not here right now, but in general, yeah.
Why not there right now?
But because they're burning crops.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You might be right. Yes, yeah, but like normally it's better outside. Of course, some
yeah,
people they really put a lot of effort into having like amazing air quality inside. You can do a lot of stuff for that. But it's really hard to get to that level. And even if you get to like an optimal level, I don't know if it's better than being outside. Maybe unless you're going out on a really busy road with tons of cars, might be worse. But
yeah,
if you're going out in nature, it's probably better to actually be out in nature than being inside and as perfect as possible air quality. I think still.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other conclusions or thoughts you want to discuss based on the study or anything else
Uh,
you're
no, not really, not really. Well, maybe I can share something that I recently discovered, which is walking meditation. We were talking about nature and the positive effect that it can have on your mental state. Um, and I found that meditating while walking is is so amazing. So yeah, if you're interested in that, just Google it. I'm not gonna be the best teacher for this, but yeah, maybe you want to give it a shot yourself, Andreas.
Yeah, how does it work? Can you just give like a brief explainer?
Well, one thing you could do is to count your steps and to have like uh 4 steps inhale on your inhale and like 5 steps on your exhale, and just focusing on that and just observing the area and not really thinking about anything happening in the area, but only just counting. That is a form of meditation.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've done that. For me, I really like walks for just like getting all thoughts out there. So
Hmm.
like just letting the mind just roll, and then you get a lot of beneficial things out there that you might have forgotten, or things you want to do, or things you want to say, or whatever. So for me, it's a really good idea to kind of like get everything out. I also do that when I tend to do a brain dump every night, where I get like all that's on my mind out on paper, and then I can take action based on it, or I can like get it out, like get it away from me, whatever. So for me, what I find really beneficial is like getting all my thoughts out in the open and get a clear mind.
Yeah, I think meditation is actually really helpful for doing that. But rather than thinking about things, you're just going to focus on your meditation, and then these thoughts will arise by themselves. You can take note of them, and if they're like keeping you from your meditation, you can just take a break, write down what you're thinking about, and continue your meditation.
Yeah, I've tried meditation in the past. I feel like it never really gave me the benefits that I wanted. I liked it, but I feel like other things help me more than that. The most beneficial form that I found when I did it was so I was like lying down meditation. It was actually really cool. It was kind of like a way to recharge as well. You kind of almost got into a restful state, but not really. And you were focusing on different parts of your body. So you're like focusing on your hands, your say your right chest, your nose, your ear, and different parts of the body, and just lying there. That was really cool for like recharging, like for kind of getting rest in a way, but at the same time not. But I feel like after you felt more rested, which is really cool. I don't know if you also dive into like things like yoga nidra and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, yeah, that is basically yoga nidra, what you're describing, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess it kind of is. Like I think it was called body inspection meditation or something, but I guess it's pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, I've done that in the past as well. Yeah, it has good effects on me as well. But I recently stumbled upon this walking meditation, and I thought it was pretty good. I guess it also depends in the on the environment you do it in.
Yeah, I guess you need a pretty calm environment to do it properly. If you have a lot of people, you can't really do it, I guess.
Yeah, I could totally do that back in the Netherlands in the park though.
Yeah, exactly. If you're like in a quiet
Yeah,
area, that probably could work. And like, it's also cool that you get like kind of the combined benefits of meditation as well as the exercise. So you get like kind of
yeah,
two. That's pretty
yeah.
nice.
But yeah, meditation doesn't work for everyone, and some people may not need something like that in their life.
Yeah.
Maybe there are people out there who don't struggle mentally at all. Good for you. Keep it up.
Yes, yeah. I guess we have different ways to deal with stuff and to manage our lives and getting the intense benefits or intense experience we need and also the rest that we need as well. Yeah, just gotta find what works best for us and take it from there. But I'm glad to hear that it's working for you. And yeah, I can understand that could be helpful. That makes sense to me.
Good. All right. Well then, I've shared everything I wanted to share on this paper. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's good for now. I don't have any other thoughts that I wanted to mention. I think we yeah, came to some cool conclusions and realizations based on what we can get out of it and can't really get out of it, but that we definitely have to think about our exercise, not just like over exercise, but have need a proper balance of as well as having the different exercises also be a part of our routine, not only focusing on one as well.
Yeah, I'd say we cannot draw any strong conclusions from this paper. On the other hand, we should be listening to our bodies and be careful not to overtrain ourselves because it definitely is possible to overtrain yourself.
Definitely. And as you also alluded to, that one thing we should probably try to always practice is like listen to our bodies when we want to go exercise. Like don't just do it just to like push through, but think about what your body actually wants. Does it want to exercise? Cool, do it. Go. But if your body is stressed, if you're feeling a bit run down or whatever, take a break or at least do less, do it slower, do something else instead. Don't just do
Yeah,
it because you want to be cool and just like force your body to do it. Whatever. It's not like that's where you can actually get injured and get sick from it. So think about the long term effects and not just what you want to accomplish right now, and then you'll probably be fine.
totally. All right. Well, in that case, thanks for listening to our viewers. And until next time.
Thank you so much for today, Wouter, and yeah, thank you everyone for listening. We'll keep in touch and we'll discuss something else cool very soon.